The GPS tracker embedded in my wrist shows I ran 14 miles through the woods behind my house last night, but I never left my bed. I'm staring at the impossible data on my phone screen right now, my hands trembling as I trace the route that weaves between trees I've never seen, along paths that shouldn't exist. The heart rate graph peaks at 180 BPM for hours, while my sleep tracker simultaneously records deep REM cycles. But here's what makes my blood freeze. I woke up this morning with mud caked under my fingernails and pine needles stuck to my pajamas. 3 weeks ago, I was obsessed with optimizing my sleep data. I tracked everything: REM cycles, heart rate variability, movement patterns. My fitness tracker was my digital diary, recording every aspect of my nightly routine with scientific precision. The routine started innocently enough. Every morning at 6 a.m., I'd sync my device and review the previous night's metrics. Average heart rate during sleep, 52 BPM. Movement detected, minimal typical sleep shifts. Sleep efficiency, 89%. I live for those numbers, adjusting my bedroom temperature, blackout curtains, even my mattress firmness based on the data. My friends called it obsessive, but the tracker never lied, until it did. The first anomaly appeared on a Tuesday morning 3 weeks ago. Instead of my usual 7.5 hours of pristine sleep data, the tracker showed a 30-minute gap at 2:47 a.m. No heart rate, no movement, no data at all. Just a blank space where my vitals should have been. I figured it was a glitch. Maybe the band had loosened during sleep. But when I checked the device that morning, it was secure on my wrist, exactly where I'd left it. The second incident happened 4 days later. This time, the gap lasted 2 hours, from 1:15 a.m. to 3:20 a.m. But something else appeared in the data that made me pause. A single GPS coordinate logged at 2:33 a.m., placing me 0.3 miles from my house. That was impossible. My bedroom is on the second floor, and I'm a notoriously light sleeper. Even getting up for water would wake me completely. I spent the afternoon walking to that coordinate, finding nothing but dense woods and a rusted chain-link fence marking old property boundaries. Standing there in daylight, surrounded by thorns and twisted branches, I felt ridiculous. My tracker was malfunctioning, nothing more. I scheduled a warranty replacement, convinced the next device would solve everything. But deep down, something nagged at me. A familiar ache in my calves that I couldn't explain, like I'd been walking for hours. The replacement tracker arrived on a Friday. I set it up meticulously, calibrating every sensor, updating the firmware, ensuring perfect contact with my skin. That night, I went to bed feeling confident I'd solved the problem. Saturday morning shattered that confidence completely. Not only had the new device recorded another gap, but this time it logged continuous GPS movement between 12:45 a.m. and 4:30 a.m. The route formed a perfect figure-8 pattern through the woods, covering 8.2 miles of terrain that didn't exist on any map. According to the elevation data, I'd climbed and descended over 500 feet, navigating impossible gradients through areas I knew were flat farmland. My heart rate during this phantom journey averaged 165 BPM. Peak cardiovascular performance. Yet I remembered nothing. No dreams, no sleepwalking episodes, no awareness of movement whatsoever. I'd slept soundly for 8 hours, or so I thought. I started documenting everything obsessively. Sleep position photos before bed, motion sensors in my room, even a baby monitor to record any sounds. The data told one story, while reality told another. According to my devices, I remained motionless in bed all night, according to my fitness tracker, I was running marathons through phantom landscapes. The contradiction became my fixation. I researched sleep disorders, GPS malfunctions, electromagnetic interference, anything that might explain the impossible readings. But each night brought more elaborate journeys. The routes grew longer, more complex, leading to coordinates that placed me miles from home in locations I'd never seen. 10 miles through non-existent mountain paths, 15 miles along riverbeds that dried up decades ago. The tracker recorded every step, every heartbeat, every calorie burned during these nocturnal adventures. Meanwhile, I was developing chronic exhaustion that no amount of actual sleep could cure. The breakthrough came when I started correlating the GPS data with satellite imagery. The paths my tracker recorded weren't random. They followed patterns invisible to current mapping technology. Old logging roads that hadn't existed for 50 years. Creek beds that had been rerouted by development. Property lines from historical surveys that predated modern boundaries. Somehow, my device was navigating landscapes that existed only in the past, following routes that time had erased. I found myself studying century-old topographical maps, comparing them to my nightly journeys. The correlation was perfect. Every trail, every landmark, every elevation change matched historical records with impossible precision. But these places were gone, paved over or reclaimed by nature decades before I was born. Yet according to my fitness tracker, I was visiting them every single night, running through ghost landscapes with increasing speed and endurance. The physical evidence started accumulating 2 weeks ago. I'd wake up with scratches on my arms that hadn't been there the night before. Small cuts, perfectly consistent with thorns and branches. My pajamas bore microscopic tears that aligned with the dense undergrowth my tracker said I'd navigated. Soil samples from my shoes matched geological surveys from the areas my GPS indicated I'd visited. But the most disturbing discovery was a wear pattern on my feet. After particularly long track journeys, my soles showed calluses and blisters consistent with extensive hiking. My podiatrist was baffled. The wear pattern suggested months of regular trail running, yet I'd been sedentary for years. The fitness tracker's step counter was impossibly accurate, recording every footfall of these phantom journeys. My body was adapting to exercise I had no memory of performing, developing endurance I'd never trained for. Last week, I decided to stay awake and monitor myself during the hours when the tracker recorded movement. I set up cameras, positioned mirrors to observe my sleeping form, even asked my neighbor to check on me. From 11 p.m. to 5 a.m., I maintained perfect surveillance of my bedroom. The cameras showed me lying motionless in bed, breathing steadily, occasionally shifting positions. My neighbor confirmed I never left the house. Yet my fitness tracker logged its most ambitious journey yet, 18.7 miles through terrain that would have required rock climbing equipment to navigate. The device recorded elevation changes of over 1,200 feet, heart rates that peaked at 195 BPM, and caloric expenditure equivalent to running a half marathon. During this impossible adventure, every camera angle showed me sleeping peacefully. The contradiction was driving me toward a conclusion I didn't want to accept. Something was wearing my fitness tracker while I slept. The revelation came 3 nights ago when I examined the tracker's accelerometer data in detail. The movement patterns weren't human. The stride length was too long, the cadence too regular, the impact force too consistent. Whatever was generating these readings moved with mechanical precision that no human runner could maintain. The gait analysis showed perfect biomechanical efficiency, no variation in step length, No fatigue-induced changes in running form, no natural irregularities that characterize human movement. It was running like a machine programmed for optimal performance. But machines don't generate body heat, and the tracker was recording temperature fluctuations that correlated with the intensity of movement. Something warm-blooded was wearing my device, following routes that existed only in historical memory, running through landscapes that had been erased by time. The fitness tracker wasn't malfunctioning. It was accurately recording something that shouldn't exist. 2 nights ago, I made a decision that changed everything. Instead of trying to prevent the mysterious journeys, I decided to join them. I went to bed wearing hiking boots and outdoor gear, hoping to retain some memory of wherever I was going. The plan backfired catastrophically. I woke up at dawn, still in my bedroom, wearing the same hiking boots I'd put on the night before. But now they were destroyed, soles worn completely through, leather torn, as if I'd run through brambles for hours. My fitness tracker showed the most extreme journey yet, 23.4 miles through terrain that included vertical cliff faces and underground passages. According to the barometric pressure readings, I'd descended 300 feet below ground level at one point, then climbed back to surface elevation. The temperature data indicated I'd passed through environments ranging from 45 to 78 degrees Fahrenheit. But I remembered nothing, and every piece of surveillance equipment confirmed I'd never left my room. Last night, I finally understood what was happening to me. I set up one final test. A fitness tracker on each wrist, one monitoring my body as I slept, the other secured to my nightstand as a control. The results were impossible to deny. The control device remained stationary all night, recording only ambient room data. The device on my sleeping wrist logged another epic journey, 26.8 miles through what the topographical analysis suggested were underground cave systems. But here's what broke my understanding of reality. The biometric data showed 2 distinct signatures. For the first part of the night, the tracker recorded my normal sleeping vitals: low heart rate, minimal movement, steady breathing. Then, at exactly 1:17 a.m., the readings changed completely. The heart rate spiked to athletic performance levels, but the rhythm was wrong. Too steady, too strong, like something much larger than human was driving the circulation. The skin temperature increased by 12 degrees. Most disturbing of all, the blood oxygen levels exceeded what's physiologically possible for human beings. This morning, I made a discovery that explains everything and terrifies me beyond rational thought. While examining the GPS coordinates from last night's journey, I found something I'd missed in all my previous research. Every single route, every path my tracker had recorded, corresponded to historical accounts of missing persons in this area. People who'd vanished during night hikes, runners who'd disappeared on familiar trails, hikers whose bodies were never recovered. The dates went back over a century, but the locations were identical to my nightly GPS readings. My fitness tracker wasn't recording my movements. It was recording the eternal journeys of those who'd been lost in these woods, condemned to run the same paths forever, searching for a way home that no longer exists. Somehow, my obsession with sleep optimization had created a connection to their restless wandering. They were borrowing my device, using it to document their endless travels through landscapes that exist only in memory and longing. Now I understand why I wake up exhausted every morning. I'm not just monitoring their journeys. I'm funding them with my life force, my energy, my vitals. Each night, they drain a little more of my strength to power their endless searches. The fitness tracker isn't just recording their movement, it's facilitating it, using my body as a conduit between their world and ours. I tried removing the device permanently, but it reappears on my wrist every morning, somehow having recorded another impossible journey. The routes are getting longer, more complex, and I'm getting weaker with each passing day. My running companions from beyond are getting stronger while I fade. I'm sharing this story because I need someone to understand what happened when they eventually find my body, worn out from phantom marathons I never chose to run. Check your fitness trackers carefully. If you see data that doesn't match your memory, destroy the device immediately. Some connections between worlds should never be made, especially not in the name of optimizing sleep. Don't face the horrors alone. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this video. And if you want your nightmare seen, email it to stories@hallocroft.com.